What up, Ehsan?
Oh, man. What up?
Stupid. What's up, buddy?
Oh, man.
Did you watch Blade?
I did watch Blade, and I did not like it. I didn't like it. I didn't like it. I couldn't. So the whole time when you were telling me the story, right?
Yes.
I was like, why do I feel out of it? I felt out of it the whole time.
Yeah.
I was like, why do I feel out of it? Am I too high? I thought that. I was like, well, maybe I'm too high. But I've done this like high out of my mind before a lot. So I was like, it's not that. And I watched Blade, and I was like, oh, it's because the plot made no sense. The plot makes no sense.
There's fighting.
Right. But it's like, because it's like.
And how good is the fighting? Come on.
The fighting is good. The fighting is good. I like that. And when the vampires like disintegrate,
Yes.
that's pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
And then the blood, like whenever there's blood, is very Tarantino-esque. So
Yeah.
I like that. It was
Samurai
over the top.
swords.
Samurai
Kung
swords,
fu.
sunglasses,
Sunglasses.
black jacket.
Black jackets. Black guy.
Yeah. I mean, woo. But.
Okay. I'm going to blog about that.
But I don't know. Well, and it's not like I need like a good plot to watch a movie. I love all the Fast and the Furious movies. Like I love them.
Yeah.
And I'll watch them all the time. It doesn't matter to me. But for some reason, I couldn't get past like in Fast and the Furious, I could get over the fact that they had to jump through buildings or whatever.
Yeah.
Because whatever, that's the world they live in, and I've accepted it. I didn't accept the world that Blade lived in. Everything was a little too ridiculous. Deacon Frost to me was a little too young. Like he seemed like I get it, he's like the new guy on the scene, but he doesn't seem like a powerful guy. Not really. He seemed like a little shit.
He smoked cigarettes.
Right. What? That doesn't mean anything.
Dude, cool people do that.
Yeah, but so do shitty people.
Well, he was shitty. That was...
He was a little over, but he didn't seem like he was supposed to be this powerful dude that threw over the council or whatever, right? And he didn't seem like that. He just seemed like a little shit that got lucky. He didn't seem like, oh my God, this Deacon guy is someone I gotta fucking watch out for.
Yeah.
Not really. I think they cast him wrong. It should have been someone a little bit older. Because the guys on the panel were old as fuck. The guys in the council were super old.
They were like the true vampires.
Right. Also, they brought out this subplot of like, oh man, there's a pureblood vampire and you're a half-blood Deacon and half-blood is bad. Why is it bad? At no point do they mention like what's worse about it except, oh, these 12 guys that you can easily kill don't like you.
Yeah, well, they're like it's like a vampire racism.
I guess, but I didn't feel it. Deacon didn't feel like he was being oppressed. They let him into the council room. They let him into I couldn't see any oppressive except they were just kind of mean to him.
Yeah, they were a little shitty to him.
And that's why Wesley Snipes beat him even when he was the blood god because he never faced true adversity before.
He just had really easy too.
Yeah, he just had some guys call him mean names, and then Wesley Snipes has a fucking samurai sword.
Yeah.
Right. Not a good villain.
No.
Not at all.
No, Deacon Frost. You remember how you thought he was a good villain?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not.
I was way wrong. I gave this way more credit going into it than I should have. You know, when I was like, oh man, it's his mom, and I was like, oh, that's a good twist. Not a good twist.
Fuck, man, I love that movie. You know what? Because I never seen anything like it when it came out, and it was still a cool movie.
Well, that's what
I watched it the other day. I was like, this is still cool.
I think that's what I think, because the movie came out in the late 90s, right?
98.
98. In the late 90s, that shit is dope, right? But I watched it after I've seen pretty much all the Marvel movies. So and then the Dark Knight trilogy. So my standard for superhero movies, and then the first two Spider-Mans are so high that when I watched Blade, it was like, this seems a little campy.
Yeah.
It seems, you know what I mean? It seemed really, really 90s when I watched it.
It was.
Acting was over the top bad. God, the girl was a bad actress.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's not good.
Motherfuckers trying to ice skate uphill. Yo, what the fuck were you talking about,
right?
Wesley?
You had, dude, this is you have vampires, Wesley Snipes, samurai swords, and that's the best closing line you came up with? Something about ice skating uphill? Sound like a 30s grandpa. What are you talking about?
Yo, the kick was cool. The kick was cool.
Yeah, that was pretty dope. I mean, the fight scenes were the fight scenes. It's a fight scene. But I couldn't get, you know what I mean?
Yo, like when the music played and he fought his way to his sword. That's one of the dopest like how he just all the way he beats up the different people.
Right, and then the
It's
beginning
badass.
scene in the blood
Yes.
in the blood orgy thing, whatever that was, blood rave. That's what it
In
was.
the blood rave.
Yeah, that was cool. Yeah, and he's in the shower at the end, and he just kills all the people trying to surround him.
Yeah.
That one's dope. Another thing I couldn't get past, right, is Deacon Frost wants to take over the council, and he like takes them all hostage, and he kills one of them, and it's like, what? Y'all are the 12 most powerful vampires in the universe, and you don't have personal security? You just let some young half-breed take you over with his 6 friends? Like, he didn't even have like a huge force.
Yeah, he did.
Right? And then he needs the 12 to sacrifice
He needed 12 to sacrifice.
to become the blood god.
Yeah.
And then he needs Wesley Snipes, Wesley Snipes' blood,
So, yeah.
because Wesley Snipes is the
the
one,
one.
which is something they just throw in randomly, like the old white dude's cancer. It's just there for some reason out of nowhere.
So funny.
Yeah.
Come on, what?
What? It's just they were trying to shoehorn depth into a movie with not a lot of depth.
Yeah.
They should have been more kung fu.
Yeah.
And less exposition.
Way more
less
kung fu.
story. I didn't give a shit about the story.
Way more
But-
kung fu and blowing shit up.
Right. Okay. So he needs the 12 dudes to become the blood god.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that white girl that he's fucking, the white girl that Deacon is fucking, kills one of the 12 dudes before this transformation even happens. So he should have never been able to turn into the blood god in the first place.
She does. She blows one out with a shotgun
She-
for talking shit.
Yeah, for talking shit. It's like, you fucked it. And then for some reason, he still becomes the blood god. It shouldn't have happened. Also, the blood god was just him with red eyes. What the fuck is that? At least give him a new jacket.
Well, he could regenerate. He could
Yeah, that's cool, but make him look different. Make him be like, oh, that's the blood god now. Now, like, oh man, they got red eyes. That's how I felt. The whole movie's like, oh man, that was.
Oh man.
Hey, I would not recommend this movie to people.
You know what's crazy? I can't wait to do the second one. 'Cause you know what's funny? The second one,
You said better than the first one.
it's way better.
It's so funny because my bar is so low for the first one.
It did better. It's critically acclaimed better.
Yeah.
And interesting thing about the second one has nothing to do with the first one.
Really?
So that's
Oh,
what's
man.
amazing.
What if the second one was just white man can't jump or whatever?
Have you seen that?
No, I haven't.
Oh, that's gonna be great to do too. That's gonna be so much fun. I'm so glad we know that. White Man Can't Jump, guys. Watch that one. That's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
Click a couple of ones down.
Probably a couple hundred, hopefully.
Don't die.
No, yeah. What was I gonna say? Yeah, no. In terms of the movies that I've watched for the podcast that I didn't like, which have only really been 2, I would put this below What Women Want.
Wow, you have not liked either superhero movie we've done so far.
Yeah, no, both superhero movies I've been like, nope. But What Women Want was like so ridiculous that it was entertaining. This one I was like, oh man, this was at one point this was real serious. And this was like really serious.
Yeah.
And it takes itself seriously because at the time it was cool. And now it's like, I'm over it. Cause I watched that the same day I saw the Avengers Infinity War trailer.
Well, come on, man. Well, that's not fair.
But you know what I mean? Like, it's not like I did it on purpose, but I just had seen it and I was like, oh, okay, so that's where superhero movies are at. You know what I mean? They should have.
Vampire movie too.
It is a vampire movie. I don't know. They try to do too many things, I think, in one story. They try to fit so many storylines in one little story. It should have been a simple storyline and then Blade doing kung fu. And I would have been like, I get this. This is like Fast and the Furious with vampires.
I can't wait to do Blade 2.
But they didn't have enough. They didn't have enough kung fu. They had too much story.
Too much story?
Too much story.
Yeah, I'll give you that. It's still, I love that movie. God, I love that. I don't know why either. I don't know. I watched it that morning and I was like, awesome.
Like I said, you watched it the first time when you were like 9, right?
Yeah, right when it came out.
Yeah, that's a 9-year-old's movie.
Yeah.
Because there's no way a 9.
But I also kept liking it throughout time. I've
Right.
never not seen it on TNT or whatever the fuck and not watched it and liked it.
Well, I don't know what else to tell you, but you're wrong, man. You're just not right. Well, that was Blade, everybody. Hey, everybody.
Yo, Beaners.
Hey, what's up, Beaners? Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much.
Yes, if you could, before we go back to our scheduled movie, if you could follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all of that at Spoil the
YouTube,
Beans. And
subscribe,
YouTube.
please
Subscribe to YouTube.
Spoil the Beans on all those platforms. Rate us on iTunes, review us on iTunes, Spoil the Beans, guys. And follow me, Deric Poston at Facebook, Deric Poston, Instagram, The Real Postagram, Twitter, Deric Poston.
Yeah, you can follow me at Instagram at Ehsan J Ahmad. That's EHSANJAHMAD. And then from there, you can figure out the rest.
Enjoy the episode, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. What up, Baba?
What's up, man?
Ehsan Ahmad.
What? How we starting today off?
Ehsan Ahmad.
Yes.
Tell me what happens in the movie Rudy.
Sports. All right. Okay. So, movie Rudy. There's this really nerdy kid, really small, grows up, loves football, but just never on the team. Never could be on the team, and he has an overbearing dad who was like a football champion. A football champion at Notre Dame, right? And Rudy's like, oh, that's so cool. I love football, can never play, but is always around it, knows the game, very smart and knowledgeable about it, right? His dad is mean to him because he's bad at football. And then the kid spends his entire life trying to live up to his dad, and then his dad dies. And the kid's like, I need to reconnect with my father. And he goes to Notre Dame. And they're like, oh, you're that guy's son? Get on the team, man. And then, he's on Notre Dame, but he's like, he never plays. And then people just like him around campus, And he's a helpful dude.
This is great.
Yeah, he's a helpful dude. And, there's this one big rally, and he pumps the crowd up, and he's Rudy, They're like, yeah, we like Rudy. And he goes on, he keeps on trying to play. They never let him in. The coach is like, you're never gonna play. This is Notre Dame. And
Okay.
And then last game, senior year, Rudy's just, stayed in the pocket. He's like, he kept on trying. They're like, we'll put you in. And then the crowd goes wild as Rudy goes in and he scores a touchdown. And then they carry him up on his shoulder. And then Rudy goes into like sports coaching or management afterwards. And then that's Rudy.
That was awesome.
Yeah, wasn't that a good movie?
That was good, dude. Whatever it was, man. It was weird. It was like a little weird, a little interesting what his struggle was against just people yelling at him.
Yeah, man. He couldn't deal with it. He couldn't. He's always wanted to be one thing, and then the world is telling him he can't be that one thing. Yeah. And it's his job to overcome the world. It's his job. It's his job to overcome people's perception of who he is and what he can't do.
Hell yeah, man.
Yeah.
That sounds like an awesome movie. Not Rudy.
What?
But,
are you sure?
Yeah. I watched it.
Because I've never seen it, but that sounds pretty close.
I know you've never seen Rudy. Ehsan, I love this movie so much.
Yeah.
This is one of the best football movies of all time. This is, to me, number 2 greatest football movie of all time.
Everyone talks about it. It's in pop culture constantly.
Oh, yeah, because, it's just such a great feel-good. Dude, it's just a great
Home Improvement brought it up a lot.
It's a classic. It's a classic.
Okay.
Classic, dude.
So where do we begin?
We begin. Starts some young brothers in the middle of some snow, and they're all playing football.
Okay.
All right. And one of them is playing all-time center. All right.
All-time center?
And he's the young one. He's
okay.
the little one. You can tell the little one. And he complains and he looks at his older brothers and he goes, I don't want to play all-time center no more. And they go, oh, you're too small to play with us. And then one of the kids goes, hey, I got to go to work.
How old are these kids?
They're kids. They're like children. They're like, they're at least like 10,
what's the
11.
time period in this?
It doesn't say.
Okay.
But it's definitely, this is definitely in the, this movie's set in the 70s, so this is definitely in the 60s.
Okay.
It's this time period right now.
Okay.
So, it's like, kids like, I gotta go to work. And they're like, oh, Jimmy, you always working. And he's like, the bills, I got kids.
Yeah, dude.
It's like one of those kind of kids.
Yeah, it's crazy how, like, just in our parents' lifetime, like, you could be a kid supporting a family.
Oh, yeah.
You could just be like a 9-year-old.
He had to go to work. He had to stop playing football with his friends.
And just go to work.
To go to work. And so they were like, all right, Rudy, I guess you can play. Rudy's like, yes. So they let Rudy play, and then they line up, right? And his brother's like, hut, hut. And then his brother drops back, and he goes to rush him. And then his brother just like easily just like fucking throws him. Because he's tiny. He just throws him off to the side. And then he throws a touchdown pass to his the other guy.
Mm-hmm.
And then he looks at his little brother. What a spaz. And then Rudy just kind of looks up at him, right?
Does Rudy have glasses and shit?
No,
it's just small.
Just small.
All right.
And then credits roll. And then they all run home for dinner. And like in the background, like a Notre Dame kind of fight song kind of plays.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And then it's Rudy. You know what I mean? Like that's how the movie starts.
All right.
You know what I mean?
All right.
So they all run back. They get back home, and they're all home for dinner. And then you see Rudy's dad, and Rudy's dad's kind of like a fat guy.
Right.
Just a fat like kind of guy. They're living, I think, outside of. I'm not sure. It doesn't really say where they live, but I'm gonna guess outside of Chicago somewhere, or maybe in Pittsburgh somewhere.
Okay,
somewhere rural, like maybe that kind of area.
Okay,
you know what I mean, but like,
do you say somewhere rural after you said Chicago and Pittsburgh?
But like not in Chicago.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like outside of the big city. But that's why they're Notre Dame. So I think maybe somewhere in Illinois, or maybe somewhere
Notre Dame's in Indiana.
Indiana. That's what I'm saying. Maybe somewhere in Indiana.
All right.
Maybe somewhere in Illinois. Maybe it was somewhere like that. Like you could tell, like it was somewhere nearby at least to Notre Dame.
Okay.
I forgot where they said. So they all go to his house, and then the dad's like, hey, don't you kids have your own families eat? You know how dads are.
Yeah.
And then he goes, who's this little girl? Is the little girl there? And then everybody goes, that's Rudy's girl, Rudy's girlfriend. And he's like, no, and she's like, yes, I am. You know what I mean? Like one of those kind of cute scenes.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, okay. And then they all go into the living room. And then he's like, all right, does anybody have anything else to say to me before I eat my meal? And then it's quiet. And then Rudy looks up and he goes, I'm going to play football for the University of Notre Dame. And then everybody like laughs at him, like in the whole house, right? Obviously.
Right.
And then his dad goes like jumps at him. Like, you say stupid shit. Like, you know what I mean? Did you fucking dummy?
Yeah.
Doing dumb stuff. And then he's like, oh, okay. And then he goes, oh, man, what are we watching? Because the TV was on. He's like, cut on the game. And then he cuts on the Notre Dame game. And then Rudy's best friend sitting next to him, Pete, and Pete goes, hey, you Mr. Rudiger, can we watch the Indiana versus Purdue game? And then he looks at him real serious and he goes, we only watch one football team in this house. And he goes, ain't that right, son? And then Rudy's like, yeah, Dad. And then they fucking zone in on the Notre Dame game, right? So cut to Rudy and his friend Pete, his best friend Pete, they're upstairs, and there's like a vinyl recording of like a coach giving like a famous speech.
Okay. Is it like the win one for the Gipper type thing?
It's one of those speeches. Not that speech, but one of those. Same exact speech. But because that comes up later.
Okay.
So that's what, not that one.
Oh, so this movie gips it up.
It's a great movie, dog.
All right.
So he goes upstairs and he's like, so he's standing up on a stool and his best friend's watching him while the vinyl's playing, and he's imitating the coach.
He's doing
like, we're gonna go inside. We're gonna go outside and we're gonna go inside. We're gonna get him on the run and we're gonna keep him on the run. And what are we gonna do, guys? We're gonna go, 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 go. And he was like, we're not gonna stop until we get across that goal line, And he's like, because today is the day we're gonna win. And he's like, yeah, like he's looking at him, and his friend Pete's like looking at him like all impressed, right? Just like happy, right? Just a good scene. Cut to present day. Okay. Rudy is at football practice, high school, senior year.
Okay.
Like he's a senior football, right? And it's him lined up against Pete.
Is he still smaller than everyone?
He's still a little guy. But I mean, it's high school, so he's not the littlest guy out there, right?
Okay.
And so him and Pete are lined up against each other, and they're kind of looking at each other like laughing. And then he hits him, and then he takes Pete down. You know? Takes him down, right? And then the coach is like, all right, everybody, huddle up. And he gets everybody huddled up, and he's like, all right, guys, seniors, this is your last week. This is your last practice, and your last game is tomorrow. He's like, and he names a couple of guys, like 6 guys, and he's like, besides these 6 players, this is going to be the last time, the rest of you put on pads.
That's real.
It's real. It's just real. I mean,
real.
I've heard that speech too.
Yeah.
And so he's like, so just make it count. Make this next, game tomorrow count, make it mean something. And he goes, and for your final reward today, I'm going to let all of you guys take one hit on your coach, one hit on me, right?
Right.
He says, so everybody line up. So he lines all the players up in a long line, like all the juniors, sophomores, and freshmen. They're all lined up. And then the coach is standing holding the dummy at the end of the thing.
Right.
And he's like, all right. He starts naming guys one by one, and they all run. And then they hit him. And he's like, yeah.
It's a good coach.
And he's like, all right, Rudy, Rudiger. And Rudy lines up.
His name is Rudy Rudiger?
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
All right.
That's his name. True story. Oh, by the way, everything, this is all based on an absolute true story.
Okay.
Like,
so I can look up a Rudy Rudiker.
And this is how it goes, though, because I love this story. So I look
that you
very into
actually did research about it?
Yeah, bro, this is a lot of this shit. It happened like this.
Okay. So Rudy Rudiker, you're up.
Rudy Rudiker. So Rudiker, everybody's like, yeah, go Rudy. And they're like, go Rudy. And Rudy runs fucking through the tunnel of, everybody cheering for him. And he fucking hits the coach like real hard, like, ah. And he fucking drives him back. And then the coach like stops him. He goes, Rudiker. And he goes, we're going to miss you. And he looks at him. He's like, like, all right, like, okay. Like he special in some kind of way.
Right.
You don't know what, but he's like, all right.
Okay, so he's one of those likable people.
Definitely likable, right?
Okay.
So it's cut to class, like, right? It's like the next day, I guess, they're in class. And Rudy's, he's daydreaming. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then the teacher goes off on him. The teacher's like, oh, Rudiker, you're always daydreaming, He's like, daydreamers don't get far in life and blah, blah, blah. Things like that. You know how teachers are, right?
Terrible teacher.
He's one of those guys.
Yeah.
And so then he announces, he says, oh, because the bell rings, and he goes, oh, by the way, class, before you leave, we're doing a, trip to Notre Dame, the campus. So people, if you want to enroll to Notre Dame, just know we're doing a trip up to Notre Dame. Just sign up for the permission slip, blah, blah, blah. That kind of thing.
Right.
So, Rudy's like, fuck yeah. He loves Notre Dame. You can tell that's his shit, So
right.
he gets excited. And so he writes down, the day or whatever. And so the next scene is like, it's Rudy, he's getting dropped off to go to get in line with all the other students to
Going
go on
to
the
Notre
trip.
Dame.
Yeah. So he's in line, and then like the teacher's like marking off everybody, whoop, whoop, and then Rudy kind of tries to slip in, and he goes, "Oh, Rudiker, what are you doing here?" And he goes, I want to go see Notre Dame. And he's like, you're not on the list. And he's like, yeah, no, I really want to, go there. And he pulls him off to the side, and he goes, Rudiker, this isn't a sightseeing trip. We're not just going to Notre Dame. This is for people who actually are going to want to enroll in the campus. And he goes, well, what if I go to Notre Dame? And he like laughs and he's like, you can't go to Notre Dame, you dumb fuck. You fucking idiot.
Okay, so Rudy's not good at school.
Rudy, he didn't have a lot of good.
His name is Rudy Rudiker.
Because also the teacher does say in the class, like, you're failing physics because you're a daydreamer. So the class was in physics, and he is failing. So,
okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
So he's like, you're not gonna get in. It's Notre Dame. It's also Notre Dame.
Right.
It's like you're not gonna get in.
Right. Especially if you're failing.
If you're failing a class.
Yeah, you're not
one
gonna
class. You're definitely not getting it.
Right.
Let alone more than one.
All right. So.
And then he tells them, he's like, you have no chance to get into Notre Dame. And then he goes like, why not? And he goes like, because some people aren't meant for college. And then like he just says, go about your way. And then Rudy kind of walks off like, fuck. And then the teacher gets back on the bus. And
they just leave Rudy?
They just leave. The bus drives off. And then it goes 4 years later. That's how that scene ends.
What?
Rudy is working in a big metal steel mill, like one of those big steel.
Okay, he's a factory man.
He's a factory guy,
Right.
It's 4 years later. His dad is the boss.
Okay.
His dad is the big boss, and his brother is like the assistant boss. His brothers, and like all his other brothers are also like assistant bosses and working. You know what I mean?
Right.
But he's doing like the grunt work. Like he's like working in the mill. And Pete is also there. Okay. Pete is also working with him. So you can tell it's like, small town, this is what everybody ends up doing.
One of those. Yeah. Everyone's a Ford man in Detroit for a while.
So whatever this was,
right.
This is the steel mill. This is where everybody works. You know what it is.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
You're born here, you're raised here, you die in this mill.
You know what it is, bro.
Right.
So they cut to, it's like him and Rudy, they're eating lunch, and then Pete's like, hey, you know what today is? And then Rudy's like, kind of smiles, like, and he's like, it's your birthday. And then he's like, thanks, man. And they're all like dirty. And he's like, and he slides over like a big bag, and he's like, the big 22, you're 22, man. Happy birthday, buddy. And then Rudy's like, oh, thank you, man. I really appreciate it. And then he opens it up, and it's like this super fucking dope Notre Dame Letterman jacket. Really fly. And he freaks out. He's like, oh my God, Pete, like what? Why would you get this? And he's like, dude, I had to get it for you, man. I saw it at this expensive place and he's like, no, you can't get me this. He's like, dude, I know how much you love Notre Dame. This is meant for you. This
Good
jacket.
Friend.
Yeah, just one
Good
his
friend,
best friend.
Pete.
Like,
good job.
This is your jacket. You know what I mean? I saw it. I was like, this has to be on my boy, Rudy. Nobody loves Notre Dame like him. And he was telling him how you know more about Notre Dame than any football player there, or like all this, you love Notre Dame. And he's like, oh, thanks, man. And then he says, Pete, he goes, I'm still going to go. He's like, I've been saving up money. And Pete's like, how much money do you have saved? He's like, 40, 30, 50,000, 20,000. And he's like, 1,000. And Pete like kind of laughs and he goes, well, that's a start. All right. You're going. And then he's like, man, you're the only one that believes in me, Pete. He's like, they dap, of course, man. So next scene is Rudy's like
1,000. That's like half a class now.
Dude, Notre Dame, I don't even know what that is.
Yeah.
I don't even know what the fuck that would be at Notre Dame. Is that like a book?
Yeah, maybe 2.
Maybe 2 books at Notre Dame?
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here. So next scene is Rudy and his girl, you know.
The same girl from
they
his
grew up,
girlfriend.
yeah, she grew up, right? And she, so like, you know, they've been together a long time, you can tell. So she's taking him to a house, and they're looking at the house. She's like, "Oh, Rudy, this is the house," and she's showing him all the things and that she loves about the house, and like, "Oh my God," and they've saved up, and this is enough for the house and all that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And because you can tell it's like, oh, that means he was saving that 1,000 like in his
for
private
a house.
No.
Oh, no.
That was his own, but like all this other money's going towards
her.
This house. Well,
Right.
this house, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
a life. And then he looks, and she's saying all these things about the house, like, oh, I love this about it, and he just kind of, you can tell he looks scared. He's just like, fuck, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And then she's like, hey, she looks at him, she's like, hey, mister, I put in my time. You owe me. She was like,
she put it on him. She put the pressure on him.
Whoop. And she was like, so you're going to walk in this house and going to look at it with me? And he's like, okay. So he walks in the house and, he looks at it with her.
Mm-hmm.
So cut to that night, Rudy and Pete, they go to a bar, right? And Rudy's all excited because he's like, yo, Coach Parseghian, who's like the coach of Notre Dame at the time, he's like, hey, he's going to be speaking at some town hall function like nearby. We got to go see him. We got to go see Coach Paul. He's one of the best coaches in the world. He's just bragging about the coach. And then his brother, because Pete's like, oh, yeah, let's do that shit. And then his brother, Frank, one of his other brothers, he overhears him and just immediately starts hating on him. Like, dude, wow, are you still on Notre Dame? Oh, my God, get over it. You fucking weren't that good at football anyway. Fucking let it go. Nobody cares about Notre Dame anymore. And then even Pete's like, dude, you used to be a big Notre Dame fan. Why are you hating on your brother? And then he's like, man, shut up. Just, you guys need to grow up, whatever. And then Rudy's like, hey, man, just let it go, Pete. Like, he's just drunk.
He's just
like,
bitter. He's just bitter dude.
Yeah, bitter drunk.
Yeah.
And then Pete kind of looks at him and he's like, man, fuck that. I'm not going to let it go. You know what I mean?
Ooh.
And he kind of walks up to Frank and he goes like, hey, man, you know what our high school coach said about you? He said, if you had 1/10 of the heart of Rudiger, you'd have been All-American. But you're a pussy. And so he fucking turns around and just starts fighting. They just immediately start fighting. Just because you can tell, it's like, ooh, that's some shit that hit him.
Oh, man.
Personally.
That was like, oh, you're fighting because you said the right thing.
You said the right thing. Like,
yeah,
oh,
you said what was right.
Yeah, like he was small, but he worked harder than you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But that's why you're still both in the same place.
Right.
But you could have been something.
Yeah, Rudy just didn't have the luck of being born.
Size.
Yeah, being born.
His brothers were all bigger than him.
There is
huge.
There is that aspect of being an athlete is no matter how good you are mentally at the game, is you just run. You gotta. Man. There's a physical component that you have to just be born with.
True.
Yeah.
Very true, man. So they're fighting, and then the dad, Rudy breaks up the fight, and then when the dad comes over, he only sees Rudy in the middle of it, and he grabs Rudy. He's like, hey, calm down, Rudy. And Rudy's like, what? And then he looks at like Pete, and he's like, Pete, good job. Or Frank, good job, buddy. And then he looks at the bartender, and he's like, kick them all out. I did like that. I like that he kicked them all out. He's like, all right, you guys are gonna fight.
Well, why did he say good job to Frank?
Because he thought Frank, he just assumed Frank was doing good and Rudy was in the fight.
Why?
I don't know. Well, I mean, you can tell he thinks Rudy's just a slacker. Because like even I forgot when you're seeing the dad and all the brothers, like the upper management, the steel bill, and they're walking by.
Right.
The first thing they do is yell at Rudy for being late. They're like, hey, you were late again today. Like, come on, you got to get it together. You know what I mean? Like,
so Rudy's just completely in his own world.
He just fucking hates this life.
Right.
Whatever. It's awful. It's just like, fuck, man. I'm in the steel mill. You know what I mean? I didn't even go to college. Like,
although it was a time when you could just work in a steel mill and get a house.
Oh yeah.
Whew.
Viable job.
Different
Small
world.
Town.
Different world.
Yeah. So it's the next day, and Rudy and Pete, they're going into work, and they're kind of like discussing what happened last night. And Rudy's like, "Hey man, thank you, but you didn't have to do that, man. I can defend myself." And then Pete's like, man, fuck that guy. Like, I couldn't help it. You know what I mean? Like, that dude sucks. And he was like, he's just bitter because you were a hard worker. Whoop, whoop. And then while they're talking about it, like an explosion happens in the thing, and they're like, an alarm goes off, and so they run into the steel mill, and then Pete goes near like the fire, and then he runs upstairs. Rudy runs upstairs, and Rudy's like working on the water pressure, and then like he's like, hey, we need more valves, and it's like you can see the fire kind of getting bigger, and then Pete's like, oh, yo, we need more water, and then Rudy's like, oh, the pressure's not working, Pete, you gotta get out of there,
Oh God.
He's like, what? And he's like, you gotta get out, and then
Pete dies,
blows him up, and Rudy's just like screaming, you know what I mean? Like,
oh God,
fucked up.
Oh God.
Cut to,
we lose Pete that early?
Quick.
God damn. I was so invested in this relationship.
Pete's dead, bro. Like, violently.
Ugh. All right, what happens next?
He's at his everyone's at the funeral, and so it's just like it shows his brothers and they're sad and everybody's sad. Like even his dad, because they've known him since they were kids, so even his dad's like kind of fucked up.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then it gets to Rudy, and he's just like, you can tell he's just fucking, he's crying, he's just bawling. You know what I mean? Losing it. And then he does like a little Hail Mary thing, and then he gets up and he's like, I gotta, like his wife's like, what? He's like, I can't be here anymore. And then he goes and he to his wife, and he just like Pete's wife, and he starts apologizing, like, I'm so sorry, like, you know, and she's like crying, and he's just like, I'm so sorry. And then he runs out. You know what I mean? He's like, you can tell, he's just like, he couldn't do it.
Right.
Couldn't be there. And then so his girl, you know, she runs after him, and she's like, you know, Rudy, you know, what's going on? And he's like, he's like crying, and he's outside the door. And she's like, what's going on? And he's just still looking off. And then he turns around and he's like, I have to go to South Bend. And then she's like, not tonight. We can't talk about this tonight. And he's like, no, if I don't go right now, I'm never going to do this. I got to go to Notre Dame. You know?
Okay.
And she was like,
Ooh.
well, if you're going to go, you got to go alone. You know?
Ooh.
And he was like, I know. And then they both cry and then they hug.
And that's the breakup.
Yep.
That's crazy.
And he left his friend's, this is true, bro. He left his friend's funeral straight to Notre Dame. Straight to South Bend. Got on the bus.
It's a man of destiny.
Yo, bro.
That's the decision a man of destiny makes.
You gotta, moments in life like that, though. That's when it happens, man. So he hops on the bus. Well, he gets to the bus station, right? And he's waiting. He's just sitting there chilling, and his dad shows up. Okay, and his dad, you know, comes up to him and he sits next to him and he's not saying anything for a second, and then he looks at him and he says, you know, I'll give you a couple weeks off. You know, I know you gotta do whatever you gotta do. You know what I mean? Just
deal with this somehow.
Deal with this somehow. Because of course he's not thinking he's gonna get into Notre Dame. He's just like, whatever, but I'm not gonna stop you from you gotta do whatever.
You gotta be your own man right now.
You know? And then he's like, you know, thanks, Dad. And then he tells him this story. He goes, you know, your grandfather, you know, he saved everything he had to move us to this country. You know, me and all your, you know, your uncles and stuff. He's like, everything. He's like, but when he got here, somebody sold him on the idea of being a dairy farmer. Some scammer tricked him on the idea you got to move to such and such and be a dairy farmer. He said, so we moved. We moved to the middle of nowhere, and you know, our father bought all these cows and all this land, you know, and he's like, but after 5 months, you know, all the
cows were dead.
Yep, dead of poison, and the land died up, you know, so.
Oh, damn.
Broke, and the depression hit, you know, he's like, everything just went to shit. He was like, so he said one day our dad just, you know, your grandfather just took off. Your dad just took off. Just split, gone. He said, and then my brothers and sisters, we got split up between relatives and friends and people who would just take us in, you know, and it was fucked up. And he was like, I'm telling you to say this. Chasing a stupid dream causes everyone heartache. You know? He's like, just know that.
That's very real.
Like, you're not, you know, he's like, and then he starts telling him, he's like, you're a Rudiger. And he's like, there's nothing wrong with being a Rudiger. You know, he's like, you're a small guy. You're not meant to be at a Notre Dame. You're not going to play football for Notre Dame. You're not going to go to school at Notre Dame. You know, you're going to work at the steel mill. And he's like, look at your brothers. You know, look at Johnny, look at Frank. They've worked up to upper management, and you can be one of those guys. And then Rudy cuts him off, and he goes, I don't want to be Frank or Johnny. And then he gets on the bus and leaves.
Whoo!
Just like straight up.
God damn. I'm very much connecting with Rudy. It's a very
dope story.
Yeah.
So
wow.
That's one of the best movies ever, dude. I'm telling you. He goes to the campus, and he's just like blown away because he's just like, oh my God, I'm here. I'm on the
first time on the campus.
Just, he's at Notre Dame, man. He's like, fuck it. I'm at least first part of this. I'm here.
Right.
Kind of. First foot, you know? So he goes straight to like the guy who like, I guess like who would let cars in. And it's like 3 a.m. It's like early still. Like barely, or like maybe 4 or 5 in the morning, like barely crack of dawn type shit. And he goes to security and he goes, how do I enroll in a Notre Dame? And the security guy's like, talk to admissions. And he's like, where's admissions? He's like, son, admissions isn't open for like 5 hours, you know? And he's like, well, who do I talk to about getting into Notre Dame right now? And he was like, you want to talk to a priest? And he was like, okay. He's like, all right. So he
forgot Notre Dame is a Catholic school.
So he sends him to a priest because he's just like, well,
this is the only person I can talk to. Yeah.
And maybe you just need to talk to someone because if you're like, I got to enroll right now. And it's like, you're not even thinking about.
Yeah, the time. Right. Something's up.
If you're not even considering that there's an admission policy and you might have to wait till 10 a.m. and you know what I mean? Like little things like that.
Yeah.
Like, you might need a little something bigger than just
you might need God.
Cheryl.
Yeah.
at the admissions desk. You know?
Yeah, Cheryl's not omnipotent.
Exactly. So he sends him to like a priest, right? This Father Kavanaugh guy, and he's waiting, and then the father comes out, and you know, the father thinks he wants to join priesthood, so he's asking him all these questions, like, so how long have you thought about this? And he's like, I've thought about it my whole life. And he's like, okay, good. And he's like, so he's asking him things like that, and then and he keeps answering like, you know, it's been the biggest part of my life since I was a little kid.
Pretty funny.
Yeah, it's not like a funny. You can just tell he's like doesn't get it.
Right.
And then the priest goes, you know, like, so what made you come out here? And he goes, well, my best friend just died, and I left his funeral right away because I was like, I gotta come here and do this, you know. And then he goes, oh, okay. He said a lot of people, you know, want to join the cloth when their best friends die. And he goes, join the cloth. And he goes, you know, he's like, it's not a term of, you know, I'm not trying to shit on you. He says, you know, just a lot of people when tragedy happens, that's when they're like, oh, I want to be a priest now. And then he goes, oh, Father, I don't want to be a priest. And he's like, oh, why are you here? He's like, I want to go to Notre Dame. And he laughs and he goes, oh, well, have you applied? And he goes, what? Like,
yeah. Oh, wow, that hadn't even crossed his mind.
Like, he's like, no. And he's like, well, I don't have any good grades. My grades, you know, definitely won't be good enough to get into Notre Dame. I don't know where to start. And then he's like, you know, well, son, you know, I'm gonna tell you right now, this college isn't for everybody. This is university. This is Notre Dame.
Right.
You know, it's
hard
top
place
flight
to be.
school for anybody. Even people with great academics, they can't get in. So, you know that going, like, right now, what you're asking for isn't like some regular thing.
Right.
And, you know.
But Rudy, with his likable personality, will find a way.
Well, he told him, he said, my whole life, everyone's been telling me what I couldn't do. And I've always believed them. And he goes, I just don't want to do that anymore, Father. And then the father looks at him. He's like, I'll tell you what. There's a JUCO, Holy Cross, junior college, you know, Holy Cross across the street. I'll give you 1 semester in there. You get grades, you know, you destroy it, you kill it. I'll get you another semester. You know, do it again, I'll get you another. And he said, hopefully, you know, after that, you have good enough grades, you can apply for Notre Dame and get in. And then he freaks out. And he's like, thank you, Father. Thank you, man. Oh, my God. I appreciate it so much. And he's like, you know, you got it. Don't worry about it. You know, appreciate it, Rudy. And then he runs off, and it's a pretty good scene.
Yeah.
You know?
That's so interesting that he was able to just find someone who could help him out.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
And that person was God. And I think that's the underlying point of this movie, guys, is that Jesus Christ is our Lord and Savior.
So Rudy leaves and he walks up to the football stadium, right? And it's closed, but he like sneaks in and he walks onto the field, like through the tunnel, and just kind of amazed, looking at the huge, beautiful field. And then a voice goes, you know, hey kid, you're not supposed to be here. And he goes like, oh, sorry, you know. He goes, hey, someday I'm gonna run out of this tunnel and onto that field. And the black guy's like, it's a big black guy, and he goes, well, it ain't gonna be today. You know, and he's like,
is this the first black guy in the movie?
Yeah. I think so. Pretty sure.
Okay, so he says you can't run out on the field.
And he's like, one day I'll be playing for this team next year, buddy. You'll see. And he's like, well, does Coach Parsegian know about it? And he's like, well, no. And he's like, well, why don't you start telling him first? And he's like, okay, I will. And then he runs off, and the next scene is him barging into the head coach of Notre Dame's office. And the secretary's like, no, I'm sorry, coach. I told him he couldn't come in. And then he's like, it's okay, it's all right. Come on in, son. What do you need? And he's like, hey, coach, you know, my name's Rudy. I just wanted to let you know that I'm a senior in high school. I was a senior in high school like 4 years ago, but, you know, whoop, and I had this many tackles and this many as a senior and as a junior. And he starts listing all the stats, and he's like, you know, slow down, son. Like, you know, who are you? And then he sits down. He's like, is it okay if I sit down? And then he tells him his whole life story. Like pretty much everything you've seen the entire movie.
Yeah, it's just like a recap.
A recap up to his friend's death. And the coach is nice. He just sits there and listens to the whole thing nicely.
Right.
You know? And
so he's just that's his plan, is to just bombard. This is what it seems like. His plan is to just bombard people with his personality.
And just see if it works.
Because it is very likable. It is very likable. Like, oh man, yeah. Yeah, he's nice. He's not like he's mean. He's not cocky.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So he tells him that, you know, all these things, and then the Coach Parsegian goes, you know, son, I think you need to go see a priest. He's like, I know a guy, Father Kavanaugh. He's like, I already saw Father Kavanaugh. He's like, he's the one who got me into Holy Cross, who told me, you know, if I get good grades, that I can eventually get to Notre Dame and eventually try out and, you know, play for you. And he was like, oh. And he goes, look, I'm sorry I didn't mean to interrupt. I just want to introduce myself, and I'll see you next year at practice.
Ooh, right? I like that confidence.
And then the coach is like, you know, like, what? He's the head coach of Notre Dame. You got to remember, he's also like,
this is crazy.
Get the fuck out of my, okay.
This is crazy.
You know, just like, whatever to get you out of here.
I have millions of dollars worth of athletic boosters. Who are you?
Get out of here.
Factory worker who couldn't save his friend.
Also, you're tiny.
Yeah.
You're a tiny person.
Right.
Talking about Notre Dame. At the height of Notre Dame.
Yeah, this is so 70s. We're talking about Joe Montana, Notre Dame.
Notre Dame, dude.
Yeah.
So Rudy, it shows like the next thing is him sitting in class and he's like writing ferociously. You know what I mean? Trying to like take notes.
Mhm.
And then it's a character kind of noticing him in the corner, right? Like a teacher's pet kind of character.
Right.
And it's Jon Favreau.
Really?
Young Jon Favreau.
Okay.
He's big pudgy Jon Favreau.
Oh,
so
some pudgy fabs.
So he's kind of just noticing him, right? And he's just kind of looking at Rudy, and then the class ends, right? And then he goes up to him. He's like, "Man."
By the way, is Jon Favreau the first actor I would recognize up until this point?
Rudy is Samwise Gamgee from The Hobbit.
Okay.
I guess that puts a face to it, my nigga.
Yeah.
My bad. I should have mentioned that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn. So
It's Samwise.
He's just the underdog always.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the movie that blew him up.
Yeah, okay. Well, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
I should have mentioned that. Yeah. Oh yeah. It's
Samwise Gamgee.
Samwise Gamgee from The Hobbit.
The Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings.
The true hero of the Lord of the Rings.
That is fucking right. Man.
The real hero.
He's the best.
Yeah, he's the one who keeps Frodo on the straight and narrow.
Yeah, he does.
And he also played for Notre Dame. That's another thing about Samwise I didn't know until now.
Yep, he did that after.
Oh, yeah, after. Okay, yeah. So the 4 years in between high school and Notre Dame, that's when he was off.
Yeah. Destroying
Sauron. Is that what all right. God, I just got the timeline mixed up in my head. Thank you for telling me that. All right.
So he's sitting in class and Jon Favreau goes up to him. He's like, "Hey, you don't have to take that many notes." And he's like, "I got to pass this class." Because Rudy's just like, "Man, whatever. I'm not even listening to you. I got to pass this class, or else I'm not going to be able to get into Notre Dame." And he's like, "All right." And he walks off. And then the Jon Favreau guy kind of looks at him and he keep watching him.
Mhm.
And he notices that Rudy, like some girl comes up and she's asking him about like if he has a place to stay. Right? And if he needs to and she's saying, "Oh, I got brothers who are trying to rent a house if you're looking for a place to stay." And he's like, "Oh, thank you." He just kind of takes it. And Jon Favreau's watching thinking like he gets her number.
Right.
And so he goes up to him and he goes, "Hey man, you're kind of good with the girls." And he's like, "What?" And he's like, "How?" He's like, "I'll tutor you. I know this stuff like the back of my hand. I'll tutor you, for all you got to do is introduce me to girls." And then he's like, "I don't know any girls." And then Jon Favreau's like, "Well, okay, never mind." And he walks off and he goes, "Wait. I know a lot of girls. I know all the girls."
That's so funny.
He's like, "I just got to find them." And he's like, "That's the right attitude."
Right.
He's like, "I'm D-Bop." And he's like, I'm Rudy. And then
D-Bop?
that's his name.
Okay.
I don't, that's what he said.
I'm gonna move past that.
My name is D-Bop. So the next day is Rudy.
You must have got that wrong. You get names wrong in these. Okay.
That's what they called him. And
Okay.
when you hear it, you're going to be like, "Oh, maybe it is something else," but it sounds like D-Bop.
All right.
know what I
So
mean?
Rudy and fucking D-Bop, his robot friend.
So he runs up on Rudy, next day, it's like he runs up on the practice facility and they're like, "Sir, can we help you?" And he's like, "Oh, I know Coach Parsegian." It felt a lot like somebody trying to get into the store.
Okay.
Saying they know Pauly Shore or some shit.
Yeah, that makes sense. I know the owner. I Googled him
And they were like,
earlier.
"No, you don't know Coach Parsegian."
Yeah.
Crazy person running up. And they're like, "Oh, practice is in it." And then the gates opened up and like he get like a bunch of players just immediately knock him over.
Right.
Right. And they're like, "Hey," and then one of the coaches is like, "Hey, kid, you gotta keep a lookout around here." And he looks around and he sees Coach Parsegian, and Coach Parsegian's running by and he's like, "Hey, Coach, it's me, Rudy again." He's looking at him like, "What?" And he's like, "If you need anything to help, just let me know. I'll do anything to help the team."
Right.
He's like, "Okay." And then he just they all run off.
They all run by him.
Because they're like, "What the fuck? Get out of here."
This is how you get a job, though.
Yeah.
This is how you do it.
Yeah, you just bother people.
You just
enough,
bother
man.
people enough in a nice enough way.
Yeah.
All right, so
he, that's kind of, that ends. And then he runs back onto the field to, remember the black guy that kicked him off earlier?
Right.
And he's like mowing the grass and he goes, "Hey, what can I do to get a job here?" And he's like, "Why would you want a job here? We're not hiring." He's like, "Look, I'll work for free. I just want to be a part of the team in any way I can." And he's like, "You'll do what? You work for free?" He's like, "Yes, I just really need to be a part of this team." And he's like, "I'll be a part of this, university in any way, please." And the guy's like, "All right. 10 a.m., be here tomorrow, minimum wage. I'll work, minimum wage."
I'll give you some money.
Yeah, I'll give you some money. He's like, "Oh, thank you.
Which
And he hugs
in
him up.
1970 was like 3 cents an hour.
Probably.
It was actually, sadly, it's probably still the same. It's probably like $11 an hour, $9 an hour. But
So a montage starts next.
I fucking love montages.
A lot of montages in this.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, multiple.
Football movie.
This is a multiple montage movie.
Dude, it's a football movie.
Oh, fuck yeah! All right, montage 1.
We just haven't got to the football yet.
Oh, that's a good point. It's a lot of administrative work up until now.
Adversity, man.
Yeah.
So it's like the montages of like it's the fight song playing, like the Notre Dame fight song, and it's of them going back and forth between him and D-Bop studying and then him trying to get D-Bop laid. Just back and forth, back and forth.
That's funny.
Just back and forth, of just like them studying and then him introducing them to girls and it not working, him studying, introducing the girls, not working. And that just goes on for a while.
Right.
You know?
Is it too long?
No, it's funny.
Okay.
And then it finally cuts to in there at lunch studying. And then a beautiful girl walks up. She starts talking to D-Bop. She's like, hey. And she's clearly starts flirting with him. And he's just like not saying anything.
Right.
And then she goes, okay, so, by the way, there's a school dance Saturday. Have you heard about it? And then he's just sitting there looking. And then Rudy goes, yeah, we heard about it, And she goes, oh, well, do you have anybody to go with? And he's still just looking at her. And he goes, no, he doesn't have anybody to go with. And she goes, oh, okay. Well, I have this friend that I'd love you to meet. And then she turns around and then she's like, this is Elsa. And it's just some nerdy looking kind of like ugly girl. You know what I mean? Like, and then he kind of looks at her and smiles. And he doesn't really say anything. And he's just like, kind of look at Rudy and then they kind of descends.
They leave Elsa hanging?
They leave Elsa hanging.
Oh, man, this is why she got so angry and has a frozen heart.
Oh, yeah. So it's back to Rudy is at the maintenance job, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's talking to the head black guy. His name's Fortune. He's telling Fortune about how D-Bop found out he's dyslexic. He had him take a test. He's like, but even though he's dyslexic, he's like, it's all good. He said, I still got an A on my last test. So it's like, it's all good. And he's like, oh, that's, I'm proud of you, son. And then he notices that there's like a cot and like a dresser and like a bathroom kind of area in the maintenance thing. And he's like, hey, do you live here? And Fortune's like, oh, no, I don't live here. I live, somewhere else. And Fortune walks out and he's like, hey, son, grab that vacuum tube or whatever. We're going to clean the locker rooms. And he's like, okay.
Right.
And then he goes back to grab it. And then as he grabs it, he like steps up on the chair and he like unlatches like the window. Like just unlocks it. And then the Fortune guy kind of notices it. But he just kind of looks in and notices it but doesn't say anything.
Right.
And then he grabs the stuff and they go up to the locker room.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is where Rudy's about to live, huh?
Oh, yeah. They grab the stuff, go up to the locker room, and then they walk in and then Rudy's just in awe. He's just like taken aback, right? He's just freaking out. And then he walks up to this plaque and it's the win one for the Gipper speech. And he kind of reads it, just reads it out loud to himself. It's really small. And he was like, win one for the Gipper. And he's just like, wow.
Oh God,
you know
Gipper
what I mean?
was Notre Dame.
Oh yeah. And so and then he starts naming like all these Notre Dame legends, just legend after legend after legend. And he's like, oh my God, they all could have dressed in this locker. And he's like, come on, kid, we got work to do. Right. And then he grabs a stool out the locker and then he starts giving that speech again. We're gonna go inside. We're gonna go outside. We're gonna go inside. We're gonna go. Now until we get across that goal line. And we're not gonna stop, boys, because today is the day we're gonna win. Right. And then even the black guy is looking at him and he's smiling because he's just so charismatic. Right.
Yeah.
It's just a great.
It's just so likable.
Just so likable, man. He's just so happy. And he's like, oh my God, this dude like loves Notre Dame.
Genuine happiness. You can't fake genuine happiness.
No,
like that.
this dude fucking loves Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm.
So,
oh man, I was hoping like the coach would come in the middle of the speech and start giving him a slow clap. That was such a slow clap moment.
it would have been. So Rudy comes back to the maintenance building like late. It's like late night, and he
Right.
comes back, and then he comes through that window that he unlatched for himself.
Makes
he
sense.
Sneaks in. You know what I mean? So the next day, they're walking, him and D-Bop, and they're walking to class, and then D-Bop notices a hot girl like in a booth,
Right.
like, kind of doing something like a fundraiser kind of thing, and he sends him over, and he's like, "Come on, man, this girl's out of your league." And he's like, sends him over anyway. So Rudy goes over, and he's like, "Hey, man, can you just wave at my friend over there just to make it look like I did something?"
Mhm.
And she's like, she placates him. She's like, okay. And she waves at him. And then he goes, all right, so what's this fall for? She's like, oh, we're, setting up fundraisers for Notre Dame. Do you want to look at some? And she's like, oh, yeah, thanks. And he's like looking at him. And he goes, oh, what's football boosters? And she goes, oh, well, we do like all these different boosters for the team. And then before the game, we get to paint the helmets. And he goes, you get to do what? And she's like, yeah, we paint the helmets for the game. He's like, sign me up. And he like freaks out. He's like, oh my God, he freaks out. And he signs up. And then she's like, you go to Notre Dame, right? And he goes, yeah, of course I go to Notre Dame.
Nice,
just lies
nice.
to her.
Always lie to women.
Gotta lie.
Always.
Lie to her.
Always.
So the next night, Rudy is like helping with setting up the helmets and he's helping paint and he's like freaking out and he's walking around telling everybody, like, hey, do you guys know there's 24 karat gold in these paints? And like, ooh, wear this helmet. Like, he's just like
Freaking out.
he loves it.
Yeah.
And then he starts talking to the Mary girl, who's the girl that talked about him in the booth. And then she goes, hey, I need your student ID to get you passes for the game tomorrow. And then he goes, oh, I don't have my student ID on me. Is there any way I can just let it slide this time and give me passes? We'll do it next time. And then she goes, oh, no, it's, the rules. Just give me the pass, tomorrow before the game and it'll all be good. I'll get you in the game. But I need the pass. It's a rule. And he's like, oh, okay, cool. And she's like, oh, by the way, we're going to some bar after. Meet me there for drinks. Everybody goes there and hang out. And he's like, yeah. So cut to Rudy's at the bar. And he's like, he's just talking. He's just drunk. You can tell he's really drunk and he's just talking to everybody too much about Notre Dame. You can tell. And nobody's really paying attention to him. He's just talking. And then he sees the married chick, and he sees her, and he keeps talking and drinking. And she's like, are you okay? And he's like, yeah, I'm just really excited to be here. And he's like, I'm over at Holy Cross, but, I'm really going to be at Notre Dame next year. I know it. And then she kind of looks at him. She's like, you don't go to Notre Dame? He's like, not right now. And he's just drunk and just keeps talking. And then she's like, oh, well, I can't let you be on the boosters anymore. I'm sorry. I got to kick you off. And he's like, oh, but Mary, please. It means the world to me, please. And she's like, no. Fucking idiot.
You weird 22-year-old drunk dude.
Like, how old are you? Who are you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so he kind of feels stupid, and then she just leaves him.
Right.
So the next day, Rudy's outside the stadium, and he's trying to get like an extra ticket to the game,
right.
and he's just asking everybody. He's like, hey, I have $10, please. Anyone $10? And the guy's like, $10, $100. Think about it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like Notre Dame tickets, dude.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, you're not just getting them.
You know what I mean? And then he even goes up to like the guy who like you let in, like a security guy, and he's like, can you please let me in? I have $10. And the guy's like, no. And so it pans back, and you hear like people during the game, and like Rudy's just like walking around the stadium, just like kind of sad and lonely.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Man, he really wants to. I guess when you put your mind to something, you got to really go after it like that.
So eventually he goes, like when the game ends, he goes back into the stadium, and he just kind of sits, and it's like trash everywhere, and he just kind of looks at the stadium. And it's a beautiful shot of just him like kind of looking at the stadium. And then night falls, and he sneaks back into the maintenance room. And when he sneaks back in, he notices there's a key on the blanket, and he kind of smiles. And then the next day, he's talking to Fortune, and they're on the field cleaning up, right? They're on the field, like, doing work.
Yeah.
And Rudy's running around, like imitating playing football and shit, and everybody's kind of laughing at him. And he's like, come on, we got to get to work. And he comes to him, and he's like, hey, Fortune, thanks, by the way, for the key. I really appreciate that, man. I needed a place to stay. And he goes, I don't know what you're talking about. And he's like, the key that you left. He's like, hey, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, what a dumbass. Of course you don't bring that up.
You know what I mean?
God, fucking white people. Just get mad at them.
So the next day, Father Kavanaugh, he's going over Rudy's grades, right?
Right.
And he's telling him, like, all right, you got, a couple B's, all A, like 3 B's and A. Pretty good. He's like, I don't know if that's to get into Notre Dame. I don't know, though. The admissions people are tricky. So, hopefully we'll see. And he's like, oh, is there anything else I can do? And he's like, you can pray. And so Rudy, next scene is him, like, lighting, like, 1,000,000 candles, like, for the campus. You know what I mean? And he's just kind of praying towards him. And then Rudy gets the letter, and he opens it, and he's denied. Cut to Christmas time. So Rudy heads home to visit the family, and he comes in and he sees his dad, and he shows his dad his grades, and he's like, hey, Dad, look at his grades. And his dad's kind of like impressed, like, oh, that's good, son. You got B's and A's. Good for you.
Right.
You know what I mean? Not really like whatever. You know what I mean? And then
a little too late for this.
Yeah, he invites his dad to one of the games. He's like, hey, Dad, you got to come to one of the games next year. There's nothing like going to a real game. His dad's like, oh, I like to watch it on the box. Whatever. I watch the game on the box. And his brother's kind of, one hating brother, Frank's kind of just looking at him like, whatever. And then he goes, would it make any difference if I was playing for him next year? And then his brother's just immediately like, oh, shut up, man. Enough of this dream. This is your bullshit. Oh, my God, you're never going to make it there. Just let it go.
You know what? Like, I get what they're trying to do. Like, everyone's telling Rudy no. But it's like, I get it from the brother's perspective. This is a 23-year-old dude at this point.
Get your shit together. That's what he's saying.
Yeah. You get your shit together and stop thinking about college. Playing college football.
Yeah. So in walks his older brother, Johnny, right? And she walks in with Rudy's ex from the beginning of the movie. And they're kind of kissy and all loved up, and then Rudy sees it. And then Johnny comes up to him, and he's like, hey, man, just want you to know that I'm proud of you, that you're at school and you're still going for your dreams, And then Rudy's like, thanks, man. And then the girl comes up, tries to talk to him, and then he's like, I gotta go. And then he just storms out.
What?
Yeah.
Your own brother? They're so awful to Rudy.
Well, it's like, at least let me know, dog. Call me. Don't let me come home and find out during Christmas.
That's really weird, man.
I
mean, your own brother.
Yeah. So
that's that's like the very literal version of bros before hoes. Brothers before others, man. What are you doing?
So the next scene is another montage, and it's of Rudy working out and studying, and he's getting ready for the next football season, right? And he's just working out, studying. And he's like sleeping in the library and just in the gym. He's just, you know what I mean? Just all it is. He's just going back and forth.
He's a scrappy dude.
And it's the next semester's of enrollment comes out, and he gets another letter, and he doesn't get in again.
Jesus.
And he's just fucking disappointment. And then he goes into work, and he's pissed, right? And he tells Fortune, like, he's like, oh, and he slams his door, and Fortune's kind of eating lunch, and he's like, what's wrong? He's like, another year fucking wasted. He's like, I can't believe I just wasted another year. Just nothing. Didn't get a Notre Dame, didn't get anything out of this. And he goes, boy, you're so stupid. He said, you got your head so up Notre Dame's ass. You didn't even notice what happened this year. He's like, you got a great education from a top community college, in the area.
Yeah.
A year's worth of it.
And you have a job.
Yeah, and you have a job here at Notre Dame, and you're a year closer. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Be thankful and shut up. You know?
Bah, yeah.
I'm a black guy. I'm gonna hit you with the wisdom. And I'm also a janitor.
The magical black janitor. You can't. Come on, some MBJs. You need these. You need those in a sports movie.
So back to another montage of Rudy working out.
Fuck yeah.
During the wintertime, you know, and he's working out. And he gets another, well, it's not winter yet. He's working out and getting ready and studying, and then another admission letter comes, and he fails again.
Jesus.
And he's just like, fuck.
He keeps going, though.
You know, so winter comes, and Rudy's still working out, and he's studying like a madman. And then it cuts to, and it's Father Kavanaugh. He's at a church, and he's walking with some other priests. And then he walks by, and he notices Rudy, and he walks up to him. He's like, hey, what are you doing in here? And then Rudy's like, you can tell Rudy's like, he's like, I don't know what to do. You know, he's like, I'm desperate, Father. He's like, if I don't get this next if I don't get in on this next one,
it's done.
It's done. They don't accept, Notre Dame doesn't accept senior transfer. So I have to get in this next year or I'm not going to get into Notre Dame, and it was all a waste.
Right.
And then he's like, you know, it wasn't all, you know, he's telling him like, hey, it wasn't all a waste. You're still.
It's the journey, not the destination type stuff. Yeah.
And then he said, he says, maybe he's like, have I not prayed enough? He's like, Father, have I not prayed enough? And the Father's like, no, that's not it. He's like, you know, praying is on our time. God answers on his time. And he's like, well, is there anything you can do? He says, son, in my 30 years of religious studies, I've known two things to be fact. There is a God, and I'm not him.
Man,
Gets
that's
up.
the only thing you've learned?
Yep, and he walks away.
Jesus. The first one isn't really a fact.
It was just like, I guess like, hey, man.
It's just how you feel.
On your own.
Yeah. All right. Not the advice you're looking for, but.
Yep. So the next day, Rudy goes and picks up his mail. And he's all nervous. He's got his little blue sweater on, you know. He
walks his Letterman jacket. That
not that one. He's just like, he just looks. You can just tell he's just like boyish. He goes to the student box, you know, mail office. He gets it, and he just walks. And he goes outside this time, and he goes to a bench, like by like a lake. And he opens it up slow, and he starts reading it, you know, and he's mouthing it. And then he goes like, you can see him mouthing it. He's like, you know, we, the University of Notre Dame, have accepted. And then he just starts crying. No, he just starts crying. No, he just starts
That's how
crying.
I feel inside.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
But it's a very emotional scene, dude. He just starts bawling, crying, and he keeps reading, and he gets through it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he's looking out the ocean, and then he just starts running. He just takes off, and he runs all over, like runs straight to the bus station and goes straight home.
Right.
Obviously. And he goes straight into the steel mill, and he bursts in. And he to his dad's office, and he shows him the letter, and his dad, like, you know, is at the steel mill. He's like, what is all this? And he starts reading slowly, and then he's like, you know, University accepted. And he's like, what? And he hugs him, and he freaks out.
Right.
He's like, my son's going to Notre Dame. My son's going to Notre Dame. You know, he's like yelling, and he like starts yelling. He's like, everybody, my son's going to Notre Dame. You know, like all happy, you know.
Fuck
and like even his brother's like,
even the Hinton brother,
like he's like, hey, congratulations. You know, he's like, thanks. And then he goes, his pop, he's like, hey, do you need a job? Do you need a job to work until, you know, to save up money to help you? You know, he's like, because I can get you all the hours you need. Just trying to help. I can get you all the hours you need, you know, so you have money for school, you know? And he's like, I can't, Pop. And he's like, why? He's like, football tryouts are next week. And his father kind of looks at him, and he's like,
well, at this point, you have to respect it.
Like, well, you know,
at this point, you have to respect it.
He's still like, but
like, you got into fucking Notre Dame.
I can't believe it. Yeah, fucking go for it,
maybe you
man.
can do this shit.
Yeah. So,
oh, man, it's taking a while to get to the football.
Great movie, dude.
That's crazy.
It's crazy. Yeah. So he leaves, and then the next day it's the team, and they're all like stretching, getting ready for practice. You know,
right.
And you hear a coach, and he's doing a voiceover, and he's talking to the 15 walk-ons, and you hear him saying like how unlikely it is that they're all going to make this team. He's like, you know, we don't need you. You know, just know what you're scum. You're here to be beat on. The first team's going to pound on you like it's nobody's business. You know what I mean? Like you're their enemy. And he's like, and the good thing about it is if you get hurt, we don't care. We'll replace you. You know, like you are the scout team player. Right. That's all you are. If you want to make this team, you better show us every single thing you got and don't let anything back. You know what I mean? Just a great, like, you better, if you want to make this, he also like let him know like this is how many players, they only let 56 players dress.
Right.
They only let like 70 or 90 some players be on the team. Like, you know what I mean? Or they only let like 70 some players be on the team, and there's 90 here at tryouts. So they're going to cut other people. So, you know, to make this team is going to be ridiculous. You're not going to make the team. You also let them know you're not going to make it.
It's not going to happen.
But
good luck. Yeah.
Here we go. Because you never know. You might find a diamond in the rough. So they start practicing, and they he's like, let's go to work. And you got Rudy's tiny. He's so small out there. And he just like gets pound on. He's just getting destroyed. But he's fucking popping up, man. And he's going back and forth. He just keeps popping up. And
what is he doing exactly? Is he playing a certain position, or they just show him getting pounded?
They just show him getting pounded on, but you don't know where he's playing right now.
Okay.
So he's just kind of getting pounded. He's just getting tossed around in different positions and just getting pounded on. You know what I mean? But he's popping up and going hard.
That tenacity.
Oh, yeah. He's going hard. You know what I mean?
That Rudiger grit.
Rudiger grit, man.
Yeah.
So
it's a good name for a product.
Rudiger, right?
Rudiger grip. You know, grit. If you're selling, I don't know, paint.
So they're doing like a hitting drill, and then like a guy, like one guy right in front of Rudy, he gets smashed, and Rudy volunteers like, "Let me do it, coach. Let me do it." They're like, "All right, Rudiger, get in there," and then Rudy just gets demolished, just gets pancake blocked. Boom, you know, and they're like, "Get out of here, Rudiger, get out of here." And he's like, "No, let me do it again, coach." And they're like, "Get out of here, Rudiger." And he's like, "I can do it, coach." And they're like, "All right, let's do it." And then he fucking does that shit.
What does he have to do?
Like, so it's two guys blocking him, and he has to break through and make the tackle.
Right.
So the first time he just gets pancaked like it's nothing, and the second time he breaks through and fucking tackles the running back.
That's weird.
I mean, dude, he makes a fucking nice move.
So he's been watching enough to know
he knows how to play football.
Yeah.
And he's, like you said, he's tenacious. He fucking wanted it. It's when you want it, bro, you get some shit done.
That copyright Rudiger grit.
It's a great, like, it's a dope shot. Like, all the football looks real. It's not, like, corny in any way. You know, it's like, oh, this is good football for this time period. It's supposed to be, like, 70s area.
Okay,
You know what I mean? So, you know, he's just getting bloodied up, and the coaches, you know, are all yelling at him, and he's just like going through the drills, popping up, getting smashed, and popping up, getting smashed. And people are like even respecting him. You know what I mean? Like, wow, look at this guy. You know what I'm saying?
People respect a good beating if you take it well.
Oh, yeah. And so finally they cut to the coaches, and they're arguing over who to keep. And then like they're like, you know, what about, you know, the one coach is like, I think we should get rid of all of them. We don't need them. And the one coach is like, what about Rudiger? And he's like, Rudiger, he has no athletic ability. What are you talking about? He fucking can't do anything. And he's like, yeah, but he's given more effort than any two guys out here today, you know?
Right.
And then the head coach, Coach Precision, he's like, you guys argue amongst yourselves. I'm out of this. And then he walks away, and then they're arguing back and forth. And he's like, well, I'm a defensive back coach. He's not getting in my defensive backfield. If you want him, he's on the D line, you know, and he walks off. And so next it cuts to the locker room, and Rudy's talking to some other guy, like this other guy who apparently he was complaining about being on the team. And he's like, I've been on the team 3 years and I've been a walk-on. I'm never going to get dressed. He's like, you know, don't even worry about it. You'll never get to play with the real team. You'll just be a beat on. You know, he's like, the only reason I'm here is because my dad was on All-American, and it's for the legacy. He's like, so I don't even know why I'm here. It's like, I had scholarships to other schools. He's just complaining. And Rudy's like, you know, go kill yourself, man.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to be here, you know?
Also, I was right about, at least someone had a dad who was an All-American football star.
Yeah.
I got something right, kind of.
Yeah, you were right.
Yeah.
So the coach, the D-line coach comes in, and he pulls Rudy aside, and he's like, hey, Rudy, let me talk to you.
Right.
So he's walking out, and he's like, Rudy, he's like, I got to ask you something. If you come to practice tomorrow, can you promise to give that effort day in, day out? You know? You know, if you get hurt, if anything happens, you're going to come give that effort. He's like, of course, coach, I'll do anything. Yes, sir. He's like, all right, well, I'll see you tomorrow. And then Rudy's like, wait, what?
He's like, Rudy made the fucking team?
Yeah, he's like, wait, so, you know, does that mean I'm on the team? And he's like, don't let me down, kid. And he's like, wait, so am I on the team? And he's like, yeah, kid, you're on the team. He's like, ah! And he freaks out, and he hugs him, and he's like, thank you. And he runs off, and he's like, yeah. You know what I mean? Just like freaking out. He's so pumped. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then
dude, I knew he was going to make the team, and that still caught me off guard. I was like, oh, he did it?
He did it.
He fucking did it?
He did it, bro.
Oh, fuck yeah.
So he goes up to the Fortune, the black guy, and he's like, hey, man, I made the team. And the Fortune's like, hey, man, I'm, you know, proud of you. You know, good for you. And he gives him back the key, and he's like, thanks for the key. And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And he's like, smiles again. He's like, you know.
Call back.
You know, appreciate it.
Yeah.
And then he goes, you know, you ever seen a game? And he's like, no, I've never watched a game. He goes, you ever seen a game? He's like, okay. He goes, if I dress, you promise you'll come to your first game? And he's like, he looks at him, and he goes, if you dress, I'll be there, kid.
Who?
Like coldly, like, you know, if you dress, I'll be there.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah. So the next scene is a Notre Dame song plays, right? And it's Rudy just getting butt fucked at practice. Like it's just a montage of him just getting
oh, another montage?
Well, it's just practice montage. It's just him just getting destroyed, but popping up every time. And like popping up so much that the other players are like in disbelief sometimes. Like, God damn, this dude's taking a beat.
Yeah, how you know getting up?
Just getting destroyed, right? Over and over again. And then finally he gets smashed one last time, and he's kind of laying there on the ground. And one of the big old linemen who like just destroyed him, like goes like, hey, Rudiger, you all right? You know, he's like, yeah, okay. And he like helps him up. He's like, all right, man. And so the coach yells, he's like, hey, run that play again.
Right.
And so they line up again. Same place. So Rudy knows, like, oh, this guy's about to smash me.
Yeah, I'm about to get fucked.
And then right when the guy's about to smash him, he kind of runs by him and, like, hits another guy.
Right.
And then Rudy gets pissed. He goes off. He's like, hey, what the fuck? I'm not your kid brother. Like, your kid brother, man. Don't treat me like that. I'm out here to get you better. I'm supposed to be the D lineman for Purdue right now. Treat me like it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then one of the coach goes up to him. He goes, hey, why are you treating Rudiger like you're some nanny out of kindergarten? Let's play football. Hit him. You know? And he's like, yeah. And everybody's like, yeah, Rudy. Like, you know? And then now the O-lineman looks at Rudy. He's fucking pissed.
Angry. Right.
And he's looking at him, and they line it up again, and then Rudy, like, the dude just fucking decapitates him, dog.
Right.
All right. And then, you know, he lays, and then as Rudy gets back up, like, tries to get up slowly, the guy, like, pushes him. He's like, keep your ass down. And then Rudy, like, fucking pops up real quick and, like, looks at him, like, what's up? Like, you know what I mean? Like fuck
hey,
you, man.
I'm getting up.
Yeah.
So you can go. I'm getting up so you can kill me again.
Go fuck yourself,
Yeah.
man.
Oh, man.
So the next scene is Rudy and that guy that was complaining earlier. So they're like, they're leaving that practice, and like Rudy's all bandaged up, and they're kind of talking about like different like things like, oh, well, you know, if I do this, then what if he does that? They're kind of doing that. And then the big old lineman, and he's standing next to 3 other starters, right? You know, and they're kind of standing like by their car with all their jackets on, and they're like, you know, hey, Rudiger. And then they both stop, and then the other guy stops, and they go, we're not talking to you. You can tell they're like, oh, they don't like him.
Oh, yeah.
And they come to Rudy and goes, hey, man, I apologize about practice today. You know, it just got a little intense. And Rudy's like, hey, man, you know, it's all good. You got to get ready for the week, and I'm trying to get you ready. That's, you know, it's all good.
Right.
And then the guy's like, hey, man, you got to take it easy, dude, or you're going to get fucking killed out there. And then Rudy's like, man, if I take it easy, that means you guys aren't ready for the next week, and I'm not doing my job. That's not happening. Whew. And then all the guys hear that, and they're like, it's all good, man. And then,
there's a lot of respect going around. Yeah,
well, then one of the characters, one of the guys goes, he's just a fucking showboat, man. That's all he is. He's a showboat who wants attention. He's mad at him.
Right.
And that character is Vince Vaughn.
Okay. Why are you so mean, Vince Vaughn? What?
Young Vince Vaughn.
What are you doing, young Vince
Does
Vaughn?
not look like Vince Vaughn.
Really? So if I looked at that, if I don't know it's Vince Vaughn going into it, could I completely miss it?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just he's so young.
Well, either way, Vince Vaughn, be nicer.
So Rudy's at practice the next day, and they put Vince Vaughn in, right? And Rudy lines up against him, and then like they do like a pitch to him, and then like a halfback kind of pass,
right?
And then Rudy just lays him out. Wow, you know. And the dude gets up fighting him. Bow, bow, like, yo, Vince Vaughn gets up like, yo, you suck ass. That's what he keeps saying. Right. You suck ass. You suck ass. And then they're like, what's going on? And then the coach goes,
that's how you know you got destroyed. Yeah, you can only say one thing.
Yeah, he goes up to him, he's like, what's wrong? What's wrong? And he's like, it's the last practice of the season, and this asshole is treating it like it's the Super Bowl. And the coach procedure goes, you just summed up your career in one lousy goddamn sentence. If you attended the Heart of Rudiger, you'd be an All-American. But just for that, you went from the 3rd team to the practice squad. Get the fuck out of my face, you know? Oh. Just like, and then you can see Vince Vaughn, he's like that. And then everybody else is like, yeah, Rudy, like, fuck yeah. It's way to hit these guys. Rudy's just like, what in the motherfucker? You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's very primal. Dog. Yeah.
You know, it's like, I mean, also, it's like, I'm on practice squad and I'm dominating, so get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
And I'm a midget. Like, I'm tiny.
And I'm disabled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's, they cut to, it's the doc is like the trainer. He's in the, like office bandaging up Rudy, right. And he's like, it's like Rudy's just got all kinds of ice packs on him. He's just fucked up, you know what I mean? And the doctor's telling him, all right, you got to keep this on until then, keep this ice pack on until then. You got to bandage up this, and Rudy's like, you know, okay, thanks, doc. And then the other guy comes in, the guy that his dad was the legacy guy,
right?
He comes in and he goes, hey man, people are sick of your John Wayne bullshit. And he's like, what are you talking about? He's like, everybody's just so sick and tired of hearing, hey, put out more like Rudiger, work more hard like Rudiger. And you can tell he's looking at him like, how the fuck is that my problem?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, and clearly they're just saying that to you.
Well, no, they're saying it to the whole team.
To the whole team, okay.
Well, I mean, he's going that hard, dude. He's going that hard, where it's like, oh, he's one of those guys.
Right.
Engine doesn't stop. You know what I mean? Just one of those dudes.
Yeah.
And so.
Yeah, he's got that copyright Rudiger grit.
Oh, yeah, man. And so he tells him, like, you're never going to be a real player till you run out of that tunnel anyway. You know what I mean? That's what it is. And so Rudy is back with his family. Well, he's talking to his family and like they don't believe he plays for the team, like right, and then he's like, well, what is it gonna take to believe? And they're like, unless you run out that tunnel with the team, we think you're just a glorified water boy or some shit.
All right.
And he's like, I promise you, next season I'm gonna run out of that tunnel. So he goes back to the school, goes to the coach's office, Coach Parsezian, and he knocks in. He's like, hey, coach, can you mind if I talk to you?
Can I ask a quick question?
What's
up with his other friend, the robot friend, Bebop?
We'll get there.
Okay.
So Coach Parsezian comes up.
All right.
He's like, come on in, Rudy. And then Rudy's like, hey, coach, I just want to say it's been such an honor, and I'm so thankful that you let me play, football in Notre Dame. I really appreciate it. And then the coach looks at him. He goes, Rudy, I never thought I'd say this. It's been an honor to have you.
Cool.
And then he tells him, he's like, Coach, I know that I'm not ever going to be a starter on your team. And I know I'm never going to be a player that can dress on your team. And I've accepted that, and I've accepted my role as to make those players better for the week ahead. And I'm totally okay with that, Coach. And I want you to know that. And then the coach was like, Rudy, I wish all of my starters had a tenth of your heart.
Right.
You know what I mean? A piece of your heart. We would be the best team ever.
Yeah.
So I want you to know that, And then Rudy's like, thank you, Coach. He's like, Coach, can I ask you one thing? He's like, next season, would it be okay if I dress for one game? And then he's like, Rudy, we can't do that. We're competing every year for the national title, and I need every player. Sometimes we only have 2 or 3 backups, and you never know the game where you're going to need those backups. I need the best players on the team that dress. That's how this works.
Right.
And then he's like, I know, Coach, I know, but it's like my father, and my family, nobody believes me, and I got to do it. I really need this. And he goes, do you really, is it just about your father? And then he's like, this is about every single person who's told me I couldn't do this. And then
I'm getting emotional just thinking about it. Jesus.
And then he goes, okay, Rudiger. He's like, what? He's like, I'll let you dress one game next season. He's like, really, Coach? Are you serious? He's like, you earned it. I can't deny that. You're dressing. He's like, thanks, Coach. Thank you. And he hugs him, and he's like, he runs out. And he's like, but next season, you still got to give me, double the effort you gave me this season. He's like, oh, Coach, I promise I will. And he's like, all right, get out of here. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Man. Okay. So he has So he has a goal to get to now. Probably he's going to get dressed one game in the season. Yeah. What's the adversity he's going to face now?
So it cuts to your boy, and it's D-Bop, and he's running up the stairs.
Yeah, D-Bop.
He's singing as he runs up the stairs, and he's so happy. He's in a great mood, and he's singing like a fight song. Mm-hmm. And then he gets to Rudy's room, and he yells, I got accepted into Miami Law School. Mm-hmm. And he's really happy, right? Mm-hmm. And you can tell Rudy's sitting there like this, and he's like, congratulations. And he's like, oh, what's wrong, Gipper? What is it today? What is it? And he goes, he holds up a newspaper, and he goes, Coach Parsegian just quit. And he goes, oh, no. And he goes, oh, man, what do I do? He goes, who they hire? And he goes, Dan Devine from the Green Bay Packers. He's like, oh, God. He goes, well, I'm sure the coach told him about your promise. There's no way he didn't tell him about your promise, man. And he's like, you think so? And he's like, yeah. He's like, it's all right. Don't let it go. Come with me. And he's like, well, where are we going? He's like, man, I'm leaving right now. And he goes, what? He's like, I'm flying up to Miami right now. I got to go, get early for school and all these things. And he's like, oh, man. And then he tells him how, they're best friends. You're like, oh, I'm going to really miss you. He's like, I'm going to miss you too. And then he goes outside, and he's dating the Elsa nerd girl from the beginning.
Really?
And he goes, oh, you guys together? And he goes, yeah, she's going to come with me to Miami. He's like, I love her to death. You know what I mean? This is my girl. And he's like, oh, I'm so happy for you guys, And he goes, he's like, well, in that game that you're, dress out for next season, you call me. I'm flying out. First flight. I'm here coming to see you. He says, okay, I promise I will. And then they hug, and then he's off.
And then D-Bop, beep boop is gone.
Rudy thanks him for everything. Yeah. So the next season starts, and Rudy is kicking ass at practice again, just getting pummeled and popping up. You know what I mean? Just fucking doing the thing in front of the new coach. The new coach is watching, and the first game goes by. You know what I mean? And they post the roster and do a montage of Rudy running up all excited and looking at it, and he wasn't on the first one.
Right.
And he's like, all right, not 2 defeats. He's like, it's game 1 though. You know what I mean?
Right.
Understandable.
Obviously, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So next day, another montage, practice him getting, doing his thing.
Montage
Same thing
City,
happens
baby.
again. And it just happens again and again and again and again. Him now on the roster, now on the roster, now on the roster. Just again and again and again. And it gets to the point where one night it shows him and he's sitting in his chair in his dorm room, and he's holding his Letterman jacket that Pete gave him, and he's just crying. Crying.
Damn.
Right? Then he goes up, it's the next day, and he's walking to the hallway, and he's walking towards the roster, and all the starters are standing by the roster already, and they all look sad, and they're looking at him. And they all kind of like that, and then they all part ways so he can walk through them. And then he goes through the roster, and his name's not on it.
Oh, it's the last game. Oh.
And then all the starters, they go, sorry. They just immediately start apologizing. Sorry, Rudy. Sorry, Rudy. Rudy, we're sorry, man. This isn't right. This isn't right, Rudy. And then he kind of just walks off. You can tell he's just he has to get away from. He's like,
right.
You know what I mean?
You have to keep it in.
Yeah, just fucking. Yeah. He walks away. They're like, we're sorry, Rudy. This isn't right. You know what I mean? You can tell they're mad respect for this dude.
Right.
Mad respect.
I mean, he's just taking a beating for 2 years.
You're definitely gonna become friends with a guy you've been kicking his ass for 2 years.
Right. And he's like, yeah, keep kicking my ass. You need it. Whew.
So Rudy walks away, and he's walking, and then his other friend, the guy, the legacy guy, he comes, and he's like, hey, where you going? He's like, I quit. Rudy, you can't quit. He's like, I fucking quit, man. I'm sick of this shit. He's like, they said I was going to dress, and I didn't dress. I got to quit. And he's like, he's like, but dude, you can't quit. He's like, it's the last practice of the season. You're the reason I stayed on this team. He's like, you can't quit. And he walks away anyway, and he's like, everything you did and everything you said was bullshit. Rudy walks away anyway. So it shows to Fortune, and Fortune is like walking on the field, and he's talking to his people, like telling them, like, hey, we got to get this stuff ready for the game tomorrow. Whoop, whoop, this, that, and the third. And he notices Rudy, and he goes, hey. And Rudy's leaned on the field goal post. And he's like, hey, shouldn't you be at practice? What are you doing here? And he's like, no, I quit. And he goes, you quit? You?
Yeah.
He's like, I thought you weren't the quitting type. And he's like, I didn't. He's like, it all meant nothing. I didn't dress. And he's like, oh, what? Because you didn't dress? And he goes, yeah. He's like, and he starts, doing this whole soft,
the sob story.
Sob story about, I did it for my brothers and my dad and whoop. And then, the Fortune guy cuts him off, and he goes, boo fucking who, nigga. You know what I mean? It's just like, whatever, dog.
Yeah.
Like, and he tells him, like, you didn't, so you didn't make the dress squad, but you did do? You played 2 years for Notre Dame university football. You also got you're about to graduate with one of the best educations you can get in the country. Notre Dame University. You know what I mean? Like, you
did it.
You did it, man.
You did what you had a dream and you saw through.
He's like, in this lifetime, you have nothing to prove to nobody but yourself, and you remember that, And he goes, now go on back and play, practice for Notre Dame. And he goes, and he like wipes his tears away, and he goes, I'm sorry I never got you to come see your first game. And then the black guy goes, I've seen too many games. And he goes, but you said you never saw a game. He's like, I never saw a game from the stands. And he goes, you were a player? And he goes, yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
He goes, I rode the bench for 2 years. He said, and I got filled with rage and anger because I thought it was because I was black. He's like, so I quit. He said, and not a day goes by I don't regret that shit. And if you quit, not a day won't go by you won't regret it.
Oh God, Rudy.
You hear me clear enough? That's what he said. You hear me clear enough? And then so it's a walk. It cuts to it's a walkthrough practice. You know what that is?
Where they go through what they're doing in the game, right?
Yeah, and they just got helmets and shells on. So they just, not even shells because that's the top half. They just had jerseys, pants
and helmet. All right.
They're doing the walkthroughs, and then Rudy's like walking up.
Mm-hmm.
He's clearly late. Like practice is going on. He's walking up. Right. All the players stop and notice him, and then they all slow clap for him.
Right.
They just go crazy. Rudy. They cheer for him. Yeah. That he's. And
then
they all part ways and let him run, and the coaches just lets him come on and get on in. They let him get right on in.
Right.
And then even the head coach, he's up watching from above, and he goes, "Hey, what's all that ruckus down there? Let's get back to work." You can tell he doesn't give a shit about Rudy. He's like, I don't care. Let's. We got a game. You know. So, cuts to the next scene. One of the starters come in, a black guy. His name's Roland, right? Mm-hmm. He's knocking on the coach Dan Devine's office.
Right.
And he's like, oh, come on in, Roland. And then he's like, hey, coach, got to talk to you. He's like, oh, what do you need to talk about, son? And he's like, I want Rudy to dress in my place. And then the coach laughs. And he's like, Roland, we're playing Georgia Tech this week, one of the best offenses in the country, And
you're going to dress.
Quiet. And he looks up. The coach looks up and he notices like he's dead. Roland doesn't say anything. He's dead serious. And he goes, son, you're an All-American defensive back and one of our captains. Act like it. And then Roland goes, coach, I think I am. And then he drops his jersey on his desk and walks out. Then every player comes in after, every player and goes, this is for Rudy, coach. And they all, 56, drop their jerseys on his desk.
Oh, that's intense.
And the coach is just like looking like this. And and you can tell he just breaks, right? And he just breaks. And then it cuts to Rudy, and he's on the phone with his brother, Frank. And he's like, Frank, I'm dressing tomorrow. You guys got to come to the game. You got to come to the game. And then you don't hear what Frank's saying. He goes, Frank, no, everybody. You got to tell Dad, everybody. I'm really dressing. You got to promise me everyone's going to be on that bus tomorrow. Don't fuck me over, man.
Right.
I'm serious.
Right.
You got to come to the game tomorrow. I'm dressing. And then he's like, all right, Dad's going to, you hear him say, he's like, no, I know Dad's going to be there. He's like, Frank, I need you to be there too. Frank, please. Please. And then it cuts. You know what I mean? Like you can tell it's just like, oh wow. You're like, dude, you
hating brother, man.
But he's like, dude,
you're my brother still.
You gotta be there for me on this one, man.
Right.
I did this shit.
Right.
I did it. I
Right.
said I was going to do it.
And he did it.
And so cut to Rudy's getting dressed in the locker room, and it's like it's a kind of one of those cut back and forth. So Rudy's getting dressed, and while he's getting dressed, cuts back, and Bebop shows up in like a private escort, and he gets out, and he's dressed in a fancy suit with a cigar, and his wife gets out, the Elsa chick, and she's all dressed nice, and you can tell they're living the high life, champagne,
Right.
and they're like, yeah, but you can tell they're so happy, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then it cuts back to Rudy in the locker room, and people, all the teammates are like happy for him. They're walking up like, yo, this is your day, you know what I mean? Like, yo, for you, dog, you know what I mean? They're all so happy for him, you know what I mean? And he's getting dressed up. And he goes up to his boy, and the legacy guy, and he's like, man, I wish you could be out there with me, man. I really do. And he's like, I know, Rudy. And then they kind of dap up, you know?
Mhm.
And then it cuts back to, and then it's Rudy's family's getting off the bus, and Frank came.
Okay.
And they cut to, even Frank came, so they all getting off the bus.
Thank God.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then it cuts back to, and they're all in the locker room again. And, you know, it's just like people come, you know, you can tell, like, you know, just getting ready and getting hyped up for the game.
Yeah.
And then it cuts back to, and then Rudy, like, his family's coming out to like where their seats would be,
Yeah.
and his dad sees the field for the first time. It's a beautiful shot. And the stadium's all filled up, and he sees the field and the band's out there and everything, and dad starts crying. He goes, this is the most beautiful sight I've ever seen. You know what I mean?
Right.
Just Notre Dame fan. And then they go, he's like, come on, Dad. And they go up to their seats. And so the coach gives a pregame speech, and it's pretty much the same one from the earlier. And he's like, you know, tells the seniors, hey, it's your last one, you know, guys, so you make sure you give it your all,
Right.
and all your seniors, you know, so make it count. You know, and you know, everybody, you know, make this game count. And so they run out, you know, towards the field, and then the captain, the rolling guy who dropped the jersey first for Rudy,
Right.
he calls Rudy to the front, like when they're about to race. He's like, Rudy,
Right.
I need you in the front. And he goes, you ready for this, champ? And then Rudy's like, I've been ready my whole life. And he's like, will you lead us out on that field? And then they're like, what? And they're like, go. And they have him run out first.
Oh,
Right?
Jesus.
And then they all run behind him. They're like, all right, let's go. And so the band, everybody runs out. And then so everybody runs. And then Rudy's out first. And then the D-Bop guy. And then like they show him and like Rudy's family. And they freak out because they just see him.
Right.
Like, you know, it's him, 45. You know what I mean? They're freaking out. Like they just can't believe, like, oh my God. And he's
He
like,
did it.
you know, he's just out there. So the game starts, right?
Right.
And it's kind of just like a back and forth montage of regular like game stuff that would happen in the game. You know,
Right.
close game, but you see Notre Dame, like not clear like touchdowns back and forth.
But Notre Dame's
But-
pulling away.
Pulling away. You see Notre Dame is winning the majority of the shots that are shown.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So it shows the scoreboard because they show it. They throw a dope touchdown pass, like, right? And then it shows the scoreboard and they're up like 10-3. And then the rolling guy gets a pick six.
Okay.
Right? In like the fourth quarter.
Okay.
And they get another cushion. So like now it's like, you know, 17-3. You know what I mean? And they're telling him like, hey, you know, the rolling guy goes straight to the head coach. He's like, coach, you got to put Rudy in. You got to put Rudy in, coach. Please, you got to put Rudy in. And then the coach is like, no. Hell no. Like
Right.
mad about it. So like, no, we're not putting him in.
Right.
He's like, come on, coach, please. I'm begging him. He's like, coach, you got to put him in one play. You got to put him in. And he's like, no, we're not doing that, right?
Mhm.
And so the big O-lineman, remember the big guy that earlier that really liked Rudy?
Right.
So he's staying on silent and he starts slowly, just goes, Rudy, 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 Rudy. And then the whole team starts, Rudy, Rudy. And then the student section, they get like all the players get up to the student section and go, Rudy, Rudy. And so the whole students like, and then bro, the whole stadium slow, like it just starts court, Rudy. You just hear the whole stadium, bro. It's fucking crazy. So it's like 37 seconds left in the game.
Right.
And they're playing Georgia Tech, right? And they fumble. Georgia Tech fumbles.
Right.
So they get the ball back. 37 seconds left. And so the coach is like, hey, victory formation. Victory sends out the victory formation. And he sends out the Vince Vaughn guy, too, because he's one of the seniors as well.
Right.
It's like, you know, he's third string, so he sends him out. And then they get out to the huddle, and the quarterback's like, all right, victory formation, guys. Let's wrap this up. Let's win this. And then Vince Vaughn's like, we got to get Rudy in the game. He's like, oh, we can't. We got to do victory formation. He's like, come on, man. That's bullshit. Rudy has to be in the game. They're not going to play him as offense. He's like, well, what do we want to do? He's like, let's score, baby. And he's like, all right, well, this is for Rudy, guys. Halfback pass. He's like, break. They break. They do a halfback pass. Vince Vaughn throws a fucking touchdown, right?
Right.
The crowd goes nuts. Ah! You know?
Yeah.
They all run to the side and then the coach is like, what was that? What are you doing? And they're like, coach, you got to put him in now. Come on, coach, put him in. And then the D-line coach, he runs up to him and he's like, coach, come on, please. Please let me put him in. Even the D-line coach is like, come on, man, let me put him in.
It's like
and then the coach looks at Rudy, and Rudy's looking at him, and he's like, get out there. And he runs out on the field for special teams, like for the kickoff.
Right.
The crowd explodes. Rudy. And of course, his dad's like freaking out, and his brother, they're like, they can't even believe it. And then the D-Bop guy's like, he's so little. you know, like they're fucking freaking out. And then fucking they kick the ball off and nothing really happens. And then, Rudy goes to the sideline and he runs to the coach and he's like, he's like, the D-line coach, he's like, what do? I don't know what to do. And the coach is like, just stay out there.
Yeah.
Just go line up.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay. And so there's like enough time, it's like 7 seconds left, enough for one play.
Right.
And then he lines back up on the D-line and he gets ready and the music's playing like, and then it's getting big. And then it says the guy, George Texas, hut, and he drops back and then Rudy fucking doesn't move on the guy and fucking sacks the quarterback.
No way.
Bro, the crowd. His dad's crying and shit, and his brother's like freaking out, and everybody's losing their shit. And the team just rushes the field, dude. They all rush the fucking field, and then they lift him up on his shoulders, bro. And everybody's all like, "Just Rudy." And then as they're carrying him off the field, it says, "Rudy Rudiker is the only player since 1976 ever,
right?
And this happened in 1976 to be carried off the field." And that was from then to the movie came out. So I don't know if a Notre Dame person's been carried off the field since, but that was movie came out in the 80s, 90s or something. So it's like
that's crazy.
Long time. I don't think that anyone's ever been carried off of Notre Dame.
Right. Not in my lifetime for sure. I would have known that.
I don't think. So they're carried. So that read, and then it read Daniel E. Rudy Rudiker graduated from Notre Dame in 1976. Mm-hmm. 5 of his younger brothers went on to college, and they all received degrees after that. Like all of his younger brothers after him went on to college and received degrees.
That's crazy.
Movie ends. That's Rudy.
Jesus Christ, dude. That's crazy. I almost cried during this. I had to hold it together because I was like, I'm not going to cry on film. There's no way.
I've seen the movie a million times.
There's no way I'm not going to cry.
I teared up this morning, nigga. It's one of those that gets me every time.
Because it's so positive.
Oh, it's so great.
It's so positive.
So great.
Did you know what he's doing now? Did you look him up?
What he's doing? Oh, he went on... he helped with the movie. I think he goes and I think he has a regular job. I can't. It was when I looked him up. I was in high school. My dad showed me the movie. I think I was in middle school, and then I watched it a bunch in high school. And I remember looking him up in high school. So I don't remember.
Yeah, this is a movie from what you've told me, and we'll see now. Especially after the whole Blade fiasco, we'll see now how I feel about it. But it seems like this is a movie like, oh, you got to show your son this.
Oh, dude, yeah. Oh my God, yeah, it's a Triumph movie, dude.
Yeah,
you're gonna bawl like a baby, bro. You're gonna.
I almost cried. I guess I almost cried during this,
dude. I knew. That's why I said that. It was like I'm gonna pick a movie where I'm gonna box you in a corner. Like you're gonna. This is a movie where I was like, he's not gonna help. But even in this part, you're gonna. There's no way he's gonna be fucking Rudy, dude. And also I just love this movie. I love this movie, man. Yo, not Bilbo. Samwise.
You killed it.
Destroyed it. Vince Vaughn, also great job, and Jon Favreau, classic.
All right.
That's Rudy, baby.
I can't wait to watch it.
See y'all next week.
Yep.